Hey everyone, this is Carlos Corral with the El Paso Film Festival, and I am here doing another filmmaker interview, this time with Kevin Ford. Kevin Ford recently made the documentary The Pushback, which was set to premiere at South by Southwest 2020. And of course, we were all going to go there to see the movie and support it, but of course, due to COVID-19, everything kind of got out of whack, so to speak. So instead, I have Kevin Ford here today for a filmmaker interview, and he's going to tell us and give us an update on what The Pushback as a movie has been up to. I've seen plenty of reviews for it. I'm sure you have too on various websites. So without further ado, I would like to introduce filmmaker Kevin Ford. So Kevin, welcome.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm bummed I'm not there in El Paso with you, man. Making this film, I got to spend so much time there. And actually, that's kind of the last place I traveled to because we sound mixed the movie there. And you and myself and many others, we actually watched it projected at an Alamo Draft House in prep for South by Southwest. The festival went away. That's my only screening I ever had of the film, man. You were there.
Yeah. I did feel a little, I was like, wow, this is so exclusive. I get to watch something before it, premieres at South by. This is so great.
Who knew, man? I mean, who knew? I mean, I remember it was great, and El Paso is such a big part of not just the story of the film, but just the experience, our editor is based there, Zach Passero. Our producer Charles Horak is there, and he connected us with Congresswoman Escobar way back before he was involved in the project. So there's just so many neat, interesting El Paso tie-ins. And even when South by Southwest went away in March, I thought in the back of my mind, well, maybe we'll still get to El Paso and have a big screening there. I mean, here we are, later in the year, and we're still obviously doing things in a socially distanced way. But I'm just happy to be part of it in some way, shape, or form. And and we've been, really doing our best to navigate through the pandemic to just find a release for our movie. And so I'm happy to report it is coming out October 6th, and that has not been easy to get a date and to get it locked in. And I feel like it's a small miracle, but it's happening. And our whole goal was to get this film out before the election. So October 6th, here it comes.
I think that's actually a perfect time. So it's like right there to give people, a chance to see the film. But and I kind of wanted to go back to, the way the film started and everything, because I kind of feel like, not just you as a filmmaker, but I know that this happened to a lot of filmmakers where they didn't get a chance to really shine in the festival circuit and get seen by a lot of people. Last year I had worked on David Modigliani's movie Running with Beto, and that was kind of one of those political documentaries that really took off in the festival circuit. And I figured like, okay, The Pushback is going to have that same magic happen this year. But of course, with the pandemic, things changed. But I kind of feel like you've been able to navigate, you and the team have really been able to navigate kind of the changes that have been happening, especially when it comes to films being released, video on demand, since we're not able to actually be together in an in-person festival. So I guess what can you tell us about that journey just as a filmmaker? I'm sure this is something that nobody ever anticipated. So what have you learned?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned, I guess the big thing, resilience, man, is like, we just wanted to share the story, and it's an inspiring documentary. It's not your average political doc that's like leading with, this is so bad and this is really upsetting. There's elements of that within it because we're confronting dark things, but really it's an uplifting thing. And we had always designed it and hoped that in 2020 it could just be an additive, positive, almost like a steroid shot for democracy, of people just inspired and wanting to vote, to wanting to volunteer, wanting to canvass and knock on doors. And so the way 2020 has panned out, a lot of the things that you see people doing in the film are just simply not possible now. Even, Congresswoman Escobar and Beto have teamed up and they're doing a virtual bus tour to sign up voters. But in previous times, they would be out physically meeting voters face to face. So we've all pivoted to a virtual kind of existence. I've got a couple screenings. We're doing something with Woodstock Film Festival, another thing in Austin with Bob Bullock Museum. And there's some things like that. We're doing our own kind of virtual premiere. And, it's a way to just get into people's homes and to get the film out there. But I got to be honest, man, none of it compares to that feeling of a shared experience all together in a cinema. And I know because I had another film at South by Southwest in 2015, another documentary. And it's one of the happiest memories of my life, sitting in there and feeling with a crowd 90 minutes of this thing and together. So we had hoped to have that, but in reality, you got to adapt. And so resilience, adaptation, and like I said, just getting the story out, it's almost like, okay, well, at least we are able to do that. Thankfully, because of these, you mentioned video on demand, huge right now for a guy like me, just to have this thing be able to go out to a pretty wide audience, through those platforms.
Yeah, like you said, yeah, I was also looking forward to, having people here, I'll talk about it, having you guys on stage, I'll say, especially because the majority of the film does take place in El Paso, and Austin as well. So I'm sure, being there and being able to talk to people and everyone coming to talk to you afterwards. Yeah, it's definitely something that is going to be missed for a while. But hoping that things get back to normal, hopefully by next year. Yeah, and the other thing I kind of wanted to ask you, because you did mention that you address a lot of dark themes in this film, and this is kind of where I can connect with you a little bit here, because your film starts off when Beto lost in 2018, and I remember being part of that team, so I was also there. But then I felt like as we were watching your documentary, there were so many things where I was like, oh, I was there too, and especially when you had to address, the shooting at the Walmart that happened here August 3rd in 2019. We happened to be with Vice News at the time, and we were following Veronica Escobar as she was leading a Democratic delegation with a lot of the ICE detention centers. And then all of a sudden this happens while we're at the town hall with her at Coronado High School, and then we just hightail it there to the scene, and without even thinking, it's just, we should probably be over there. So, and of course, when your documentary hits that part, even for me, it kind of brought back all these really dark memories about that day. But I feel, how were you able to balance with everything that happened between 2018 and now, and still, I guess it feels like a lifetime ago. So how were you able to decide what was important enough to make it into the documentary?
We came to a lot of these conclusions together, Zach being our editor. But we focused so much on this idea of citizens and people, not just politicians, mind you, but just average folks who got involved with their democracy in their own way. So yes, you see Congresswoman Escobar, or in Austin, Councilwoman Natasha Harper Madison, but there's also these really cool young women who call themselves Rouser, and they start off, they're helping people register to vote and stuff like that in 2018. But you flash forward to 2019 and beyond, and they formed their own podcast, and they're doing all kinds of other stuff. So they are an example of people who found a way to contribute to the democracy, to political conversation, but they're not running for office. And there's a grandmother featured in the film, Ann Finch, who goes down to the border, and she's bringing water to asylum seekers and food and different kind of volunteering activities to help out in that way. And what's interesting, there's a lot of examples of that in the film, of just people helping out. That's how we made the decision to kind of story-wise show what we showed, was like things that maybe would inspire a viewer to find their own way to get involved. Someone could watch our film and think, I'm never going to run for office. but I could volunteer. Or, hey, maybe I will donate to a campaign or phone bank or something. So we tried to show different things that would be inspiring. That's continued, thankfully, even into the pandemic. People can still phone bank, at least. They may not be going door to door and knocking, but there's that. And there's obviously always room to chip in and volunteer in different ways. It's interesting. I kind of am, as a documentary guy, it's like, when do you stop? We stopped in March 2020 when Congresswoman Escobar gave the rebuttal to the Trump State of the Union. And it was a really neat cap on the film. And we were ready to show it at South by. So I think, actually, I'm sorry, I think that was February. And the premiere was to be early March. Well, right after our film ends, the whole world as we know it changed. And so sometimes I think, should we have kept filming? Should we have immediately launched into a sequel? I don't know. You always struggle to feel like with a documentary, when are you done? But we did complete it right at a moment before the pandemic. It was just done. And then all that happened. Sorry, I just hit the mic.
It's okay.
I got excited. But we kind of completed it. And so I'd look at it like it's a really relevant time capsule of a moment of people inspired, getting involved. And it is actually kind of refreshing to look at it now in our COVID times. It's also a reminder of what we can look forward to getting back to when we are face to face with people. But it's been interesting because even when we wrapped and finished the film and got those final shots edited in, there was just no way to see how much life was changing. And if anything, a lot of the stuff that we're showing in the film, I think, has been sharpened, and the divides have become even more divisive in the pandemic period. We've seen how a lot of the fractures that are there are just widening, whether that's economic, division or racial division or whatever it is. There's a lot of stuff you see happening in the pushback. And we all know now as viewers, if we see it, where this leads. And it leads to an even crazier, almost science fiction version of our world.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because where I feel like I truly see that world is on social media. So I kind of feel it's already here. It's just, it's slowly bleeding into the real world. So that is definitely something that I hope does not continue, because that is something that is a little scary.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's really worrying. Even at the end of our film, or late in the film, you see Councilwoman Natasha Harper Madison, and she's basically dealing with at that time, and we just touch lightly on it in the film, but what's tantamount to online bullying, but with a strong racial kind of attack to it. And there's just, we just kind of hint at it because I didn't want it to make the whole documentary about that. But again, now that stuff has just gotten so much more out of control, and it's very concerning to me as a citizen. That's why I do hope that, I hope people show up. I hope they vote. I hope they don't get so disillusioned that they just check out. But I understand this is a dark, crazy time. So, if anything, I hope that by us putting out our film, it can be a reminder of the best of us, of what we can be, and maybe also a reminder of what we can get back to and improve upon. So it's not like we're going to go back in time, but yes, we will all be face to face again, but maybe in the future we'll treat each other with more kindness and respect. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, going back to the ending of your film, actually, I kind of had the privilege of being part of that part of the documentary, because Chuck and I went to Veronica's house. We filmed her going over the speech, and even I could tell just from everything she was saying. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be something special, and I'm definitely going to tune in tomorrow. And I loved how that's how it, and and that was the one thing that I did really love about your documentary, is that even though it addressed a lot of dark themes in the film, it leaves you hopeful. It leaves you hopeful that things are going to change. And like you said, it's that moment that's encapsulated right before the pandemic madness happened. And then I kind of now watch the ending and think, man, I really hope we can still the world can still be like this after this election.
I will tell you, this is very interesting. Side note is both of the main figures in the film, Congresswoman Escobar and Natasha Harper Madison, their work has only gotten stronger and more impactful. They've rolled their sleeves up even more in the pandemic. So it's cool because whatever you see them doing in our film, well, once our film is over and we shifted into this pandemic version of our world, they are working overtime. Natasha in Austin, Texas, Congresswoman Escobar in your community. And it's really fascinating to think their work hasn't stopped. It's gotten deeper and more ingrained. So it's actually kind of exciting because I feel like, wow, these voices matter more than ever, and it's pretty cool for me on the sidelines, just kind of watching how they haven't stopped. They're just charging forward and trying their best to help people. And I'm very inspired by both of them, and it's probably pretty obvious, but yeah, so I'm always checking in, watching. I still get email updates from both of their offices about what they're up to, and it's more important than ever. So it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like you said, these ladies, especially in this time, have truly stepped up, and even I'm in awe of them. I'm like, wow, they I hate to say it, but I'm like, these ladies got handed a sandwich, and they are making it work, and they are doing everything that a true leader can do for a community. So I think that's also what's good about your documentary, is that it reminds us that women especially are very strong leaders and can hopefully lead us out of this so-called darkness, so to speak. So yeah, finally, just to conclude the interview, it tells everything. Where can we watch the Pushback? When is it available? And how can people watch this film?
So 2 things. One, on October 1st, our soundtrack will be available. I'm super excited about it. You mentioned the kind of optimistic tone in the film. I personally believe a lot of that has to do with the music, which is all original music by Joseph Cash. Well, he comes from a legacy, obviously, of Americana music, and he, in my opinion, brought that to the film, this kind of uplifting, unifying, beautiful kind of acoustic instrumentation. So the soundtrack to the film is available October 1st, so that's exciting. I'm like super thrilled. I was gonna say, I think you can pre-order it even soon. But anyway, October 1st. October 6th, the film will be available nationwide. So the main platforms right out of the gate would be Apple TV, Fandango, Amazon, of course, and Alamo On Demand, which is cool because that's our Texas connection. And I love and respect Alamo and all their stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then it'll continue to trickle out in other places later. And then for those who might be interested, October 5th, we are doing a virtual premiere that we've set up. And that'll be free for people to log in. The details will be on our website, which is www.thepushbackfilm.com. I think you have a link for it.
Yes, we do.
People can go there and find out the exact info, how to RSVP and all that stuff. But it's a login, and that'll be with Congresswoman Escobar, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke, having a lively discussion about the themes of the film. And then we're going to kind of roll that into a live screening, broadcast live, right there on the front page of our website. So we're trying to do something fun to kind of like, hey, we're here and celebrate, this hard work. It's been 2 years in the making. And so we would hope that's an opportunity for people to come and just check it out, and we'll launch it. And but the story is still being written in real time. And that's what I was implying earlier when I said it's been really difficult. Just even getting a distribution deal and all this stuff. I just feel like the whole film industry has been just kind of turned upside down during this pandemic. So we were able to partner with a cool indie distribution company in New York, and they have really helped guide us to the releases that I just described to you. So I'm really grateful for their help. They're called Giant Pictures. And anyway, that's been pretty cool to work with them.
No, very cool. And actually, I do have just one quick question. So then the event that you guys are going to have on October 5th, will that be free or is that a paid?
Yeah, it'll be free.
Okay, so
Actually, yeah, the idea there is we kind of teamed up with Powered by People, and we just want it to be a thing where people could come, get inspired, and maybe they turn around and want to help people, find their polling places or get involved. So kind of like carry on the work of the film. But yeah, so we're really excited. And the details of that will all be on the front page of the site, how to register, how to RSVP to get involved. But it's a free event, and we hope, it's kind of our way of like giving back and launching with an exciting kind of fun virtual event.
no, yeah, no, and that's good. And for anyone watching this interview, be sure to sign up for the Pushback newsletter on their website, thepushbackfilm.com, and so you can get all the alerts. And of course, also, follow us here at El Paso Film Festival. We're going to be keeping a close eye on everything that the Pushback team does and what Kevin is up to. So, yeah, I wish you the best of luck, Kevin.
Thank you. And can I give one final shout out to our whole team in El Paso? So the shirt that I'm wearing was designed by Vanessa McKee, who's in El Paso. I know you mentioned her husband, Lucky McKee.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Vanessa's a great designer. Yeah. The poster's been awesome that you guys have had.
Yeah. So, but they are close supporters, collaborators of the whole project. And then, of course, Zach Passero, and then the entire team at the Rio Bravo Post. But we did our sound, and our picture there. So El Paso in every way, we birthed this baby together or something, right there at Rio Bravo Post. And Ryan Martinez, Andrew Smedick, you were involved. I'm glad you
just a little. The other guys did all the heavy lifting.
Anyone watching that's not a part of El Paso, it's such a rad community, and there's so much creativity going on there. And again, I'm bummed that I'm not there in person, but I'll be back as soon as it's deemed safe. I'll be back because I got to get some of that great food and see my friends.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. We look forward when we can actually, speak to other human beings in person.
Exactly. Yes, man. But thanks for doing this in the meantime. It's really cool.
No, absolutely. Thank you for your time. All right, guys, that concludes the Filmmaker interview with Kevin Ford. The Pushback trailer is up next, so be sure to watch it. And of course, stay tuned to our website and social media to find out the latest on the upcoming 2020 Film Festival. Thanks so much, guys.
If we change the state of Texas, we will change the country.
And I don't care about the differences between us. If you are a Republican, you're in the right place. If you're a Democrat, you're in the right place.
Texas is now considered a battleground state.
Because before they always said my vote doesn't count anyway. Texas in particular wants to be tough guys. Their Christianity here isn't about Jesus, it's about John Wayne.
White supremacy is a part of our cultural makeup. It may be our greatest identity, and we're trying to recover from that.
You're talking about 10,000 years of native habitation. You just can't come in here and start deciding to put another wall.
When they do build the wall, they're going to have to take it by eminent domain because we're not going to sign over anything.
We're Black women in the South. I really want them to be confident and empowered and know that there are women who look like them in positions of leadership, helping to make the city the best it can be.
The Trump administration is also launching a major military operation to, quote, harden the southern border and block illegal immigration.
If we were not angry, what would that say about us? What do we do with that energy? And it is what we do with it that makes us different.